Yeah.
If I need it, I'll pass it across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in the Drogo workshop preparing my car when the P4s were being built, and there was a tarpaulin sheet across half the workshop, and no one was supposed to look in to see what was going on. And I was building my car to comply with the new regulations, with the new windscreen, the luggage boxes and everything we had to have, And we went to Sebring and Daytona, and the Ferraris finished first and second, There were only two P4s there. The third car was a P3. But, so, I was there when they were built. Well, there's no question about all the suspension parts and the chassis and the engine and gearbox being original. The only thing is the engine was bored out of as many cc as they could get, which was pathetic, sort of about 250 cc, bigger than 4 litre, and it didn't gain much advantage, just a little bit more torque. And they couldn't really, with their prototypes, they won the championships with, they couldn't beat the Can-Am, American Can-Am 8-litre cars. And, when they were building these P4s, Allegretti and Drogo, who were building the cars, they did build the P2s, the P3s and the P4s, they said, could you bring us out a wheel from England? And so I put it on my trailer. They're quite a heavy item, and I took it down to Modena. And the first thing they did was paint it and stick it in the corner of the workshop, just to show the customers that they were up to speed with all the latest bits and pieces, But actually, although some of this bodywork was made with a wheel, a lot of it was done with a shrinker and by hand beating,
Quite a lot.
on a sort of bag of sand and things like that, But in the old days, in the GTO days in '62, I went into Fontanese's shop where they built the aluminium fuel tanks, and they had an old tree stump in the middle of the workshop, and they used to beat everything out on that. It was really primitive, but they did a beautiful job.
It's exactly what we both envisaged 2 years ago.
Yes. The first thing you said to me, we just want the job as good as you can possibly do it, and we aren't worried about the time. Fortunately, the body took about twice as long as we expected, and cost twice as much.
But we got it to the way we wanted. Now it's like,
And I'm happy with it.
it's gorgeous. It's the most beautiful Ferrari.
But actually, my mechanic Stubbs, he's really prepared everything while we were waiting for the bodywork. He was beavering away, making exhaust heat shields and detailed stuff. If I hadn't got my car to copy, it would have been impossible to get it right. Unfortunately, we've still got my car, and it's, if we need anything, we just go to it and measure it up and have a look and copy it, But without that, we'd have been dead in the water, Enzo Ferrari gave me the original drawings in a beautiful maroon folder, every asset of the car, every little bit. And it was very nice of him, actually. And I don't think they've got the drawings anymore at the factory. And we used the drawings to make the new radiator. You saw the radiator that came out of this car, did you? No, I brought it back yesterday. And we couldn't put that back in, And, the radiator was a work of art in itself, It just doesn't have two tubes going into the header tank, It's beautifully shaped where it goes into the header tank, It's a work of art like everything on a Ferrari, They make everything, all the uniballs, the joints, there are very few manufacturers who make everything, and I think BRM and Ferrari were the only people who made everything, in-house. Well, the Lucas metering unit has very fine tolerances, and, if it's cold in a winter day like this, and you try and start it, it can damage the drum, the Fossil-Bonds drum and all the clearances. So you have to heat it up with a hot air gun or a kettle, pour some water over the metering unit to warm it up before you turn the engine over. And then we usually start it with brake cleaner, which is not an oily substance, and it sort of evaporates and it doesn't oil the plugs up. And we squirt that in the intakes, and then you need a very powerful battery to start it. I mean, it's quite easy starting Ferraris in the summer, but in the winter they just don't like the cold weather, you know, the tolerances.
Italian now.
The trouble is the major wear takes place with an engine every time you start it. I mean, on the Cosworth DFVs, we used to have a heater which heated up the water system and heated up the whole engine before you started it. We tried to adapt it on these cars. We did, actually, but it was sort of a bit of a game, and, you know, it's like sort of switching it on and heating up the water in the cooling system, you know, before you start the engine. That saves the wear on the initial time every time you start it.
It took us a long time. We made the body back, we did everything, and it started.
I mean, I've got
26
it on
months.
my mobile phone,
26
starting
months.
and running it. I sent it to you, sent
Yeah.
you a copy, didn't I?
Yeah,
But
it sounds great.
we've only started it twice, actually. But let's see if it'll start now. We'll have to give it a whirl.
Yeah.
Go for it.